Welcome to our special edition. With you today is the founder and editor-in-chief of Harbour Times, Mr. Andrew Work.
Thrilled to be down here today, Vincent, for the Policy Address Special with Vincent Wong, the founder of HKSOW Solutions on Wheels. Does our chief executive have some solutions for Hong Kong today?
It's a really, really long policy address, but I figure out. I can figure out with a name of a movie.
Okay.
Okay, want to do a guess?
You got a theme? Give me hit me quick.
The movie is like this.
Okay. The Golden Finger?
No.
Finger? No? Okay, no, I have no idea.
And then riding a bicycle?
The Bicycle Thief?
Over the moon?
E.T.?
Yes!
Boom.
E.T.
Hey, not bad, huh?
Yeah. This policy address is all about E.T.
Okay.
Elderly.
And?
Technology.
Okay. Elderly and technology are definitely on my top 10 list. And we're going to run through the top 10.
Let's do the top 10 list.
Okay, top 10 in no particular order except for mostly as they came through. If you want to see kind of our light of what we did with Harbour Times was our Twitter feed.
Oh, yeah.
We just pulled out the new stuff. A lot of the policy address last year, like this year, is a lot of like, chief executive, we've done a great job on this. Really, we're getting somewhere. So what we did is we just pulled out the new stuff. So if you want to just not read the whole policy address, watch the show, duh. But also check our Twitter feed at Harbour Times.
Okay.
All right, let's go.
Number one.
First thing we have on here is non-government organizations as an extension of government. This is a new thing. Not so new, because government's always worked with other organizations to get them to do what the government should be doing. Things that pop up and you're like, why is this in the policy address? Aren't these independent organizations? Not really. Airport Authority is going to be establishing a new aeronautical academy. This is something new. The MTR is going to be establishing a rail academy. Again, both these are technically not government organizations, but kind of. So that's new. Also, in two places.
So they are setting up schools.
Academies. So the other thing is that in two places in the policy address, they invite, is the word.
Yeah, I want to talk about that.
The Community Care Fund to consider
CCF, Community Care Fund.
Doing something. And the one that I really like and I think is a good idea is for the CCF to fund low-income families, teenage girls from those families to be able to get a cervical vaccine cancer. Right? And I'm a big fan of that. We've talked about it on the show. But again, when the government invites you to consider doing something, it is like they are telling you to do something. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's the bear hug.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
Yeah. Oh, I'd like
Can you do this?
Yeah.
I'm inviting you to do this.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
You are going to say yes, right? Only going to say yes, right? Yeah, that's...
Yeah. So the big thing to watch for here is if the Community Care Fund doesn't do either of these things in the next year, it'll be a shocker.
All right.
So, number two, a lot of the new term this year is Belt and Road, China's Belt and Road, and a lot of old initiatives are being relabeled.
Yeah, One Belt, One Road.
One Road.
They actually have an acronym for it.
Okay.
OBOR.
OBOR.
OBOR. O-B-O-R. OBOR.
So what have they relabeled? So some of the things, it goes from everything to funding for industry. It goes to a lot of its university scholarships for students from the OBOR countries, whatever those are, like Kyrgyzstan or something, to be able to come to Hong Kong and go to Hong Kong universities. It's a lot of old wine in new bottles.
Yeah, you know what? I think the oldest one is actually helping companies along the OBOR region to raise funds. Well, we are already an international finance center. I mean, this is what we do, right?
Sure,
But there's one thing I would like to point out.
Okay.
The chief executive said that Hong Kong's role in OBOR, in One Belt, One Road, is for cultural exchanges.
Cultural exchanges in there, absolutely.
I mean,
they'll throw some money at that too.
I mean, is it what the West Kowloon Cultural District is going to be then?
They who knows? They're relabelling a so
thing. The West Kowloon Cultural District will become the OBOR Cultural Districts?
Maybe. So look for a lot of old packages getting relabeled, and they keep using the term super.
So that's number two. OBOR. Number three,
something I didn't like. This whole idea of having Hong Kong become a center for corporate treasury centers, and he's talking about introducing tax breaks for corporate treasury centers. If there's one industry that doesn't need extra special tax breaks, it's the financial industry, number one. Number two, You know, there's always this thing about Hong Kong versus Singapore, and Singapore goes around giving tax breaks to companies to get them to put headquarters there. Hong Kong has never done that. The Invest Hong Kong people, I was like, I wish we could do it. No, it's great you can. People come anyways. Keep the overall business environment inviting, and you won't have to give away special deals. This is very anti-Hong Kong. I don't like it. And you'll probably read more from me on this, on how they should not be given tax breaks.
I have another take on this.
Okay.
I don't think it's something that the industry needs.
No.
But the industry wants to have.
Everybody will take a tax break.
Yeah.
They can get it.
And remember, it's an election year.
Yeah, but I mean, how many votes is he going to get in the election committee of the 1,200 for this? I mean...
Well, I mean, at least the first sector.
Yeah. I mean,
the first sector is all about the wealthiest people.
Yeah, it's very narrow though, like corporate treasury centers. Like, are we losing that much to Singapore? And if we are, fine, let them have it. There's plenty of business.
But you know what? I mean, traditionally, this sector is a fan of the Henry Tang's camp.
Yeah.
So CY Leung definitely wants to do something as a preemptive strike.
Okay.
Otherwise,
the
first sector.
Yeah.
For those who forgot, we have 4 sectors
in the election committee.
In the election, yeah. So the first sector is the wealthiest. The second sector is the professional.
It's business. Essentially business. Yeah.
Finance and all that.
Yeah.
So if CY Leung does not put out this preemptive strike, then this group may come out with a strong candidate, or if not more than one candidate.
Maybe.
So.
Maybe.
That's what I'm thinking.
So keep an eye on this one. Like, I can't see anybody being against it except for me, frankly, in my publication. But the real details like that you would normally expect to see in the budget.
Okay.
So look for details in that.
Number 4.
Number 4. The Hong Kong government is like spending a lot of money in this policy address. He made a lot of announcements about spending to support research in Hong Kong. One that really struck me was for the Chinese National Engineering Research Centers, which are in China, and now they've got branches in Hong Kong. And, you know, as we were tweeting, some of the wags were like, really? So now the Hong Kong government's funding mainland Chinese research? Apparently so. So that's going to be one to watch out for. There's a lot of money getting thrown around other places. The ITB is going to get $2 billion, not to invest directly, but to generate, you know, funds through investment to then invest in other projects. Look for more of these organizations sitting on.
All right, thank you. Cash. Finally, you got the T in the ET.
Yeah, got to the technology. Got to the technology.
Okay, all right.
What else?
Number 5.
Superman's going to have a home in Hong Kong with the Lantau East Metropolis. 400 to 700,000 people is the targeted number of people they want to put into that new area.
Yeah.
It's not.
But this is
so
the E.
new.
This is the E. I think they are considering to make Hong Kong to become a more elderly-friendly city.
Yes.
And I think a lot of these ideas will be tested out.
Yep.
When they develop the Lantau Metropolis.
Lantau Metropolis.
Yeah.
They've said that in the future as well, the Housing Authority, this was in the policy address, will design apartments to be more elderly friendly, bigger bathrooms, panic buttons, things like that to make them more. They didn't specifically specify. They specified bigger bathrooms, not panic buttons.
All right.
But it was in the policy address.
All right. Number 6.
Messaging is always very important. The chief executive came out clearly and said, it is not the government's responsibility to ensure that property prices will always go up. He threw the gauntlet down. He said that he came out very clearly and said what a lot of people have been saying for a long time, but you don't usually hear the chief executive say it, that the property prices in Hong Kong is the root of many evils in this city, and he seemed to send a pretty clear message that he is going to want to continue to try, although he hasn't been successful yet, to try to drive property prices down, which is going to cause panic in a lot of quarters in this city, whether you're a homeowner or a developer.
Well, he has a more aggressive target. Remember in Tung Chee Hua's era, everybody is talking about the 85,000 housing target.
Yes.
He has a new target.
Oh yeah.
Higher than 85,000.
Yeah.
87,000.
Yep. Lots of talk of targets in this policy address. You know how well he's done and how well he's going to do and how the MTR is going to support him. A lot of details in that. Check out the Twitter feed, but yeah, it's all in there. So
okay,
he does want to be the housing chief executive.
Yep.
He's really staked his kind of nailed his colors to the mast on this one, and it's going to be a big part of his re-election campaign, I'm sure. So that's one to watch for as well.
Number 7.
Did the business community get what they wanted? Importation of labor, especially construction, they got nothing. Taxes, which we wrote a couple of pieces at Harper Times about what different chambers, General Chamber, American Chamber, British Chamber, Canadian Chamber, what they wanted. They didn't get anything on taxes, but fair enough. Maybe that'll come in the budget. John Tong's got to have something to talk about in a couple of months, right? A month.
A month.
The American Chamber, in their submission, asked, really pushed hard for Hong Kong to establish an emissions control area with Guangdong and ports in Guangdong. So the idea behind that is that if we have all these wonderful environmental regulations, shipping companies will choose to go to other nearby ports and use them because it's cheaper, because they don't have the same environmental regulations. So what happens in many places is neighboring ports, like for example all up and down the coast of California, will agree to have the same environmental standards, so level playing field. We don't have that in Hong Kong. Our environmental standards are more strict than our neighbors in Shenzhen and other parts of Guangdong. The American Chamber said, let's have an ECA. Chief Executive said in this policy address he will push for it. If he gets it, that's another story.
So what do you think overall the business community would react on this policy address for point number 7? For point number 7. Not much for them?
No, I don't think there's much for them. They were also asking for things like the government to stop talking about the whole issue around long-term service pay and using that to offset MPF. No mention of that.
What I'm talking about? You know what I'm thinking?
Yeah.
Again, I'm thinking in pure political angle. I think for the media, mostly the policy address would be focusing on the social issues, the welfare issues. That's why the chief executive decided not to put a lot of stuff in the policy address for the business community and leave all these to the budget, as you said. And I think this is also a move to position himself. All right, I'm going to fight against the property developers. I'm not going to give goodies to the businessman.
He certainly had that kind of message.
Yeah, you see?
A lot of points in the policy address.
He wants to position himself that I am with the mask, despite the mask really hates him.
That's very true. He didn't announce any new big infrastructure projects that could be controversial. I think the biggest number I saw there was like maybe 100 million. There were no big money announcements in this. I don't think there were any that really jumped to mind. Except for the hospital authority, but business I think will kind of be because standard working hours just kind of blew by it. Labor import didn't mention it. Things that are big issues, taxes didn't mention it. So except for that tax break, I don't.
All right, number 8.
Not necessarily a big one, but really like the Hong Kong government is very concerned about the plight of elephants. For real, and he was like, we're gonna clamp down on trading. We're gonna ban ivory trading for good. And Hollywood Road is part of my turf in Hong Kong. You go by and those places all still have their ivory antiques out there. I mean, what's going to happen to those guys? So that was an interesting one they came down on. Quick hit on ivory. Ready for the next topic, which is
number 9.
The government really seemed to say this is the year that we are going to start charging for solid waste. So expect to start paying for your garbage, people.
Would the ivory become solid waste?
Some expensive garbage to be thrown out. Man, so Christine Lowe, when she first came in as the Undersecretary for the Environment, this was a big part of her agenda. It's just kind of languished for a couple of years, but the Chief Executive's like, nope, this is the year we do it. So
we will do it.
Get ready to pay for your garbage, people. I'm sure there'll be exemptions for like anybody living in public housing and that type of thing, but some form of charging is coming this year. He seemed pretty clear on that.
Okay, number 10.
I want to talk healthcare. The grab bag for healthcare, and I'll finish with that. A few different things are within that big category. Number 1, they're going to have a superbug strategy steering committee. Basically, it's recognized that Hong Kong, as often accused, is the world capital of superbugs.
Okay.
And antibiotic resistance.
Bug, not in the detective sense, all right?
No.
Bug means bug. Superbug.
Bad germ. Germs that basically are resistant to every they have antibacterial resistance. I heard a great podcast, Quirks and Quarks from the CBC, and apparently a lot of people confuse this term. They don't understand that antibacterial resistant drugs means that the bacteria themselves are resistant to the drugs, which is really bad. It means there's nothing that can cure you if you get it. No penicillin, no nothing. So the government wants to tackle this, recognizing that we're the worst, basically, because people are like insisting on antibacterial and antiviral drugs, even when they don't have an appropriate thing. So there's that. Vaccines, I mentioned that the government is going to be encouraging the Community Care Fund to fund
cervical cancer
vaccines for teenage girls from low-income families. I think it's a good idea. Should be in most Western countries, it is standard. It is paid for by governments, and every girl gets it unless their parents are like anti-vax freaks. E-cigarettes, government's going to consider banning them and talk about the dangers of it. I say, why not talk about the benefits, helping people helping people to quit smoking. Again, CY will have to call me about that one. And finally, doctors are on the firing line. The government is fed up with doctors finally. They are going to get 4 non-doctors on the Medical Council this year. The government wants to put that through LegCo if they can do it. Let's see. Basically to provide more oversight and discipline for doctors. The HKMA last week came out and said, hey, Medical Council, how come you're not referring problems in the hospital authority to us? Sorry, they were criticizing the hospital authority for not referring doctors who have made mistakes to the HKMA, right? Saying basically, you're covering up mistakes. You're not doing the people justice here. So we're going to get 4 new people to help with oversight. They're going to. The government is keen to push for more foreign doctors to be allowed to practice, to change that regime. They've had enough of the doctors protecting their industry, shutting out other people and making people.
Well, doctors will be upset.
They're not going to like this at all.
Yeah, they will think that outsiders wouldn't understand the industry.
Declaration of war.
Yeah.
So those are my top 10, Vincent. Although there were some subcategories. Thank you for having me.
All right. So thank you for joining for our discussion. This has been a very long episode. You can look and pause and think about the 10 points we have just discussed with you. And then share with your friends. We would love to have more discussion down below. Yeah. Remember to share it, like it, subscribe it. HKSOW, go to our website, and then also go to Harbour Times, Twitter, Reddit.
Yeah, for us especially, you can look for us on Reddit. We will have more analysis coming up on the website and on the Facebook this week, but if you really want to get those little bites of all the new stuff, go to our Twitter feed. Even if you don't have a Twitter account, you can still see it, and then you can choose to share it, the parts that you like. So get on there, and of course it's at Harbour Times, Harbour with a U.
Yep. All right. Good work, Andrew.
Hey, good solutions. Hopefully our chief executive had some that are going to make Hong Kong a better place this year.
All right.
But you're full of great solutions.
Yeah, I will be in the joint radio phone-in show tomorrow morning with the chief executive. So
very good.
Stay tuned in your radio as well.
All right. Get some good solutions. Cheers, Vincent.